and we want everybody to be able to get their 470 certified today. So that being said, we'll go ahead and get started. So before we jump into Epic, I hope everybody has been able to complete the service specs document that we sent out. It's a PDF form for you to fill in. I'm going to show you what it looks like. And today I am Happy Public Library, so we'll walk through the Form 470 to certify for Happy Public Library today, okay? So this document will hopefully look familiar to you. Can everybody see that? Let me make sure my screen sharing is...
Jenny, I can see it.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. So this is what the service specs form looks like that was sent out to you prior to this meeting. So hopefully everybody was able to complete it. So you put your name here and your build entity number here. That will populate your name down here in the text. Address, we're requesting internet access to this specific address. Because my library today has 150 megs to the internet, that's going to be my bottom, my minimum bandwidth need. Okay, so that's what I'm going to put there in the first blank. And then I am going to suggest that everybody add several levels and incremental levels of bandwidth above what you're currently at so that you have the ability to grow in the instance that you sign a multi-year contract and you need to increase your bandwidth during that contract. And then you won't have to go out for bid again. So we're encouraging you to think 3 years out or so and make sure that you've covered that growth potential. So in this case, for Happy Public Library, I'm starting at 150 megs and I'm going to go up to 1 gig, which is 1,000 megs. May seem a lot, but you know what? There's no harm in asking for incremental pricing up to a gig. So that's what I've done here. I've asked for pricing on a 12, 36, and 60-month contract. Your local policy will guide how you do that once you get the bids back. And then on the timeline, I've put today's date, September 22nd. This is the date that's going to be posted in Epic. I've also put the deadline to submit questions, which is today's date plus 10 days. So that would be October 1st. The deadline to post the Q&A in Epic. So if you do get questions and answers during this period from vendors, you make certain they get their questions answered. We take that document, the document that posts all the questions asked and the answers provided, take that document, we upload it into Epic, and that serves as your Q&A addendum, RFP addendum. That's got to be done by October 2nd, okay? And then for all vendors to submit bids, they have another 28 days. So that's October 30th. Give me just 1 sec. Okay. So then on the last page, just make sure you put what your email address is and anybody else that needs to be copied on those questions, as well as the LCT email address, making sure that we get copied on all of that, okay? And that completes your service specs template, okay? And this will serve as your RFP that we're going to upload into the 470. Questions on this? All right, so let's go ahead and jump to the Form 470. Hopefully everybody is logged into Epic at this point. Remember, you do have multi-factor authentication, so go ahead and get logged in. And if you will go to reports, click on your landing page, and it'll look like this. I see my library name here. So from your landing page, we're going to click on the FCC Form 470 at the top right corner. And this will start a new Form 470 application. As you see there, it is the funding year 2021, so we're asking for bids for services to start July 1st of 2021. All right, so from this page, we're going to give the application a nickname. I would type in 2021 being the funding year that we're asking for. Type in your library name, Happy Public Libraries, and underscore Form 470. So 2021 underscore your library name underscore 470. And then save and continue. The next page should show your library's billed entity number and the recipients of service. I believe everybody on the call today just has one recipient of service. So just look at this page, make sure that your billed entity name is correct and your billed entity number is listed correctly. And if that's all correct, we're going to hit save and continue. Contact information. If you're the main point of contact, you'll say yes. Okay, so that'll automatically populate your information over here. If you are not the main point of contact, say no, and then you can go type in the person's name. They must be a user in Epic in order for them to be a contact listed. Okay, so in this case, I am the main contact. I'm going to say yes, save and continue. All right, and then we go to the category of service that we're requesting. For today, we're going to do category 1 since we're asking for internet access. If you happen to want to know more about category 2 services, get with one of us on the call and we can help walk you through that. We can let you know what that means, what's involved in that kind of stuff. So for category 2, that's something entirely different. But for today, we're going to do category 1. So we'll click the box, make it turn blue, and then save and continue. Okay, Mitzi, I'm sorry you're having problems logging in. It looks like Brady's going to get you logged in. Is anybody else having problems logging in? Okay, if so, type in the chat box and we will help you. All right, so now it's asking for RFPs. And yes, we have an RFP. That is the service specs doc we just reviewed. So what we want to do is make sure that that is complete, that it has all the fields filled in the form. I'm going to go grab it and drop it into this uploads area right here. So I have my file. In your case, it'll be a PDF. Doesn't matter. It can be a Word doc or a PDF. But in your case, if you fill out our form, it'll be a PDF. Just drag that file and drop it into there, and you'll see that it uploads. Okay. And once it's there, you can click Save and Continue. This is asking for which RFP. So if you have multiple documents uploaded, which one apply to these services? We only have one. We're going to go ahead and check that file, put the little check mark next to it, and click Save and Continue. Okay, this is where we will need to create a line item or line items for your internet service. So we're going to go ahead and say Add New Service Request. Marisol, what if I attached an RFP but want to remove it since it was incomplete? Okay, great question. If you have not added any service requests from this page right here, you can just go back to that page, go back where you uploaded it to the page you uploaded. You see the X? You can remove it just like that. Now, if it is tied to a line item, then you're going to have to uncheck it from the line item. But in this case, we have not created the line item, so you can just remove it, you can fix it, and then you can re-upload it. Okay? Great question. So I fixed the document, now I want to upload it again. It is there. Save and continue. I do have to check this box again to say, yes, this is the file I want to use. Save and continue. Now I'm going to request a new service. So we are asking for bids for internet access. So there's going to be a couple of different options here. If you know what type of service your library has today based on your current bill, your current contract, if you're not sure, I'd like for you to put 2 line items on here. So you want to look at those items, your bills or your contracts, and determine see if you can determine what type of service it is. But the most important thing, if you're not sure, is to add at least 2 items, the 2 line items that we're going to talk about today. And one is the least lit fiber, this first drop down, with or without internet. And of course, we're asking for internet, so it's going to be internet for us. And it's delivered over fiber optics. So that's what that means. So if you're not sure, again, if you know that your internet service is fiber optics, that's the only line item you need to put on there. If you're unsure, you really need to add 2 line items. This one and another one we're going to add here in a minute. So based on our service specs doc that we just created and uploaded as our RFP, this is going to give us our minimum and maximum capacity. So the quantity we need is 1. We just need 1 internet circuit. The number of entities served is the number of libraries you have. Most of you are just going to put a number 1 here, if not all of you. Okay? Our minimum capacity in Happy Public Library's case is 150 megs. And I selected 150 megs on purpose. So I'm going to click the drop down arrow. And as you'll see, it starts with gigs on top, which is more than megs. So I'm going to go to the bottom. And there's not 150 megs here. So I'm going to select 100. I'm going to go below that. So I'm going to select 100 megs. So there's not a 150 meg option. Select 100 megs for your minimum, and for your maximum, again, consider 3 to 5 years out what you might need and what kind of growth you have. So I would say a gig for Happy Public Library would enable plenty of growth in a multi-year contract. So my minimum is 100, and really it's 150 in my RFP, which is fine. And my maximum is 1 gig. Okay, be sure you give yourself plenty of growth there. Over here, are you seeking installation, activation, and initial configuration? You're always going to want to put yes, because you're not sure if they're going to charge you installation services or not. So we're going to say yes, just in case they do. Those will be covered in E-rate. Now, right here is where your RFP is checked. So my RFP document I uploaded, it's checked there. It applies to this line item. That looks good as it should. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and add. I'm going to add that line item. And you'll see here now, there it is. Okay, Diana, you uploaded the service specs doc. Okay, so what you'll want to do is, let me go back for just a sec. It will save right here. It'll save my work. So I'll go back to that page. Here's the page, Diana, for you to upload your RFP. You'll say, yes, is there an RFP? And then it'll have a section for you to upload that document into. So drag and drop it in there, and then save and continue. It'll confirm, you'll check the box next to the file name of that document, and then save and continue. Then you will need to add a new service request. So in the case of Happy Public Library, I am not sure if my internet connection is fiber optics or if it is other, if it's not fiber. It could be cable, it could be some other wireless, could be some other form of medium for that connection. So I'm not sure. I'm going to add 2 line items. I've already added lease lit fiber, and now I need to add another one. So click on Add New Service Request. This time, the drop-down menu will go to the second one, which is Internet Access and Transport Bundle. This is the non-fiber solution. You have to have that in your 470 in order for service providers to bid on non-fiber internet services. Many of you, a lot of you have one or the other. There's a lot of you that have non-fiber. So I would, there's no harm in adding both line items, even if you're 99% sure you have fiber. There's no harm in it. So go ahead and put both line items if you're not 100% sure. So the quantity is going to be 1. The number of entities served, I just have one campus, one branch on my library, just 1. I'm going to say 1 there. My minimum capacity is going to be where my current service is today. And so I know that it's 150 megs. There's no 150 meg option, so I'm going to select 100 megs. And I'm going to scale up to 1 gig. So that gives me a wide range of options during the course of this contract. Are you seeking installation, activation, and initial configuration for this service? Always select yes. There's my RFP file. It should be checked. I want it checked. Make sure that's checked. And then add. Okay, so I have 2 line items now. 1 lease lit fiber, that's your fiber optic connectivity, and 1 non-fiber connectivity. Any other medium of internet transport is what that covers, okay? Looks good to me. I've got my RFPs in this column that the file name shows up, which means it's attached. I don't need to add any other services. So now I'm going to go to my narrative. And Kyle Lewis on our team sent out some documents earlier in the week, or maybe last week, with the narrative, kind of a cheat sheet with the narrative and the procurement restrictions. Can everybody see this document? Yes, great. Okay, so right here, I'm going to grab the narrative. There's some information to complete in here. So this narrative, just make sure you personalize it to the library. So Happy Public Library currently has 150 megs of internet access. The library is requesting bids from 150 up to 1 gig. Okay, so I'm going to grab this, and those are the only blanks to complete. So I'm going to grab that whole little paragraph, and I'm going to put it in this narrative section here. Copy paste it in there. And it just gives a little bit more detail as to what those line items are requesting. Okay, it looks good. And the last question on the page is installment payment plan. If your library wishes to pay your undiscounted amount, so let's say you're an 80% discount in E-rate, you have 20% to pay. If you need help paying that 20% on the installation and non-recurring charges for this internet circuit, then you'll want to select yes here. Just so those service providers know that you'll need some installment payment plans for your undiscounted share on the special construction charges to connect this internet circuit. If it's a new circuit they're bidding on, that may be an option for you. So you say yes if that's the case, and then you can tell them, and it doesn't mean you have to do this, but it just means that they're aware, the service provider is aware that you may want this payment plan. So you'll need to tell them, over how many years do you want to amortize that cost? It can be anywhere from 1 to 4. So I would suggest saying 1 to 4 years. You can also tell them here if you want them annual or monthly payments. And in my case, I'm just going to say annual payments. So if it's a $100,000 special construction charge, and you have to, and that's your share, let's say that's your 20% share that you have to pay, the library has to pay, then you could pay that $100,000 over 4 years and just pay a $25,000 fee each of those 4 years. Okay? And I'll say save and continue. All right, this page is asking if there is a technical contact person that the service providers can contact if they have questions. In your RFP document, the service spec document that you uploaded, we've instructed the service providers to email you and or somebody else and copy LCT on all questions. So I would say no here, because they can get that information on the RFP. We've instructed them to email specific email addresses for questions or comments about this 470 or RFP. We want to keep the service providers all doing the same thing. If you've attended our monthly webinars, we have one coming up this Thursday, but last month we started talking about competitive bidding. And it's very important that the service providers are all treated fairly and equally. So if one person has a question, all of them need to know that question that was asked and the answer that was provided. That's why we provide a Q&A document in Epic as your RFP addendum. So we want them all to follow the same road, follow the same instructions, email the correct people that have been identified in the RFP. So here we'll just say no. They can follow the instructions in the RFP, and it'll keep everybody doing a little bit cleaner outreach to you. And I will also say that if you get questions that you cannot answer, you're not sure how to answer, it's important to answer them. They do need their questions answered, and we told them that we would in a certain timeline. Reach out to any of us. Reach out to LCT or myself, Ashley, Brandy, Kyle, anybody, Caroline. All of us are here to help, and we can help you answer those questions and get that Q&A document uploaded into Epic once the Q&A period is over. So just let us know. We're here to help you. We want to make sure this whole process goes smoothly and in accordance with E-rate rules.
Jenny?
Yes.
If I can interrupt for a second, Miss
Of
Diana
course.
has her hand raised. If it's okay with you, I'm going to unmute her.
Absolutely.
Okay, just 1 second.
I'm sorry. I hit that when I was asked a question earlier and I didn't unhit it, so it's nothing. It's fine.
Did you get caught back up, Diana?
Yes, yeah, I'm totally caught up.
Yay. Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Brandy.
Mhm.
Anybody else? Raise your hand and we can unmute you. Okay. Trucking right along then. So we say no to technical contact, and we're going to say save and continue. This section is asking if there are any state or local procurement requirements. The answer is yes. I'm a little tickle in my throat, excuse me. And I'm going to reference the file that Kyle sent out the other day, and that's the second section. So our narrative's at the top, and then the state and local procurement restriction section is at the bottom. That does not need to be personalized. It's a pretty standard paragraph for everybody, so just grab that. Let's copy and paste it. We're going to put it in this section. And this is also going to reiterate the requirements we're asking of the vendors, of the service providers that are interested in bidding. So we will tell them all the bidding should be embedded in your proposal. We may reevaluate for cost effectiveness at any time during the year. They can use the state of Texas DIR contract if they wish. That you will be accepting their proposals up to 28 days after the 470. They will have an opportunity to ask questions and answers. That they are in compliance with an FCC order that recently came out that actually prohibits, got a little tickle on my throat, sorry, prohibits the sale, provision, maintenance, modification, or other supportive equipment manufactured by Huawei or ZTE. Those covered companies are considered a national security threat, so we just want to make sure that the vendors know about this order. They should know that if their products are manufactured by either of those companies, that has been banned in the US and is banned from E-rate. So we just want to remind them there. And then that all bids must be in accordance with the LCP rule, lowest corresponding price rule. Okay, and we've given them the URL if they want to read up on that. Okay, so that section gives another layer of requirements for the vendors to review and to ensure that they are in compliance with. So after I've copied and pasted that section in here, I'm going to say review my FCC Form 470. What that's going to do is it's going to create a PDF of what I just completed. And it's going to, in a few minutes, it's going to pop into my tasks bar up here on the top left. So once that PDF is ready, it will create a task and we'll open that and look at it. We'll give it just a second. And if you keep hitting tasks, it should populate. And now you can see there's my task. Let me know if anybody had an issue with getting their 470 task. Looks like we should be good. Okay. And y'all are an easy crowd. Okay. So let's go ahead and open this task. Let's click on it. And it has provided us with a link to the draft 470. Let's open that. So I'm going to go ahead and open the PDF and we'll take a look at it. Can everybody see that? Okay. So as you can see, this is a draft. It has not been submitted yet. But let's take a real close look at it, make sure that it includes everything we want it to include, that everything on it is that looks correct. Kyle, do we want them to submit the drafts to us, Kyle, for review?
I think it would be worthwhile for you to print off a copy or save a PDF copy. And you know, if you have any uncertainties about the information on the form here, you can send that in to us and we can help look over the draft before you certify. This way, in case there are any issues, then we can address that before certification. There are certain things that would need, that would require a new Form 470 if certain errors are made, just because anything past ministerial or clerical minor issues like that.
Great, thank you. So if you're on a call today and everything looks as we discussed and everything looks in accordance with what we're going to look at today, right now, this draft, you should be good. But as Kyle did say, any errors that were omissions on the Form 470 would require a new Form 470. Cannot go in and add a line item, add something that you omitted from the get-go in this application. So it's not as forgiving as the Form 471. So we want to just make sure if you all have your PDFs pulled up of the draft, let's just go through it and make sure we've got everything as we want it. Number of entities 1, make sure, yeah, the library name is accurate up here. Our RFP document is in there. There's only one file right now. Now, when we come back, if we do have any questions that we've answered, we're going to PDF that. We're going to add it to the 470. I will show you how to do that in just a few minutes. That will also be available to service providers in the 470. So you can, if you have an initial RFP document, you can add an additional document in addendum. The 2 line items that we need on here, there they are, they look good. We said fiber, internet access and transport bundle. We've got our minimum and maximum capacity, looks great. We've got yes, under installation and initial configuration. So that all looks good. Our narrative is in there. I didn't fat finger anything, yay. Everything looks great. We have put installation payment plan, that's fine. If you don't, if you know you don't need that, say no to that section. We don't have category 2 requests, we're going to skip through there, and then we do have our state and local procurements description. If you just copied and pasted, that looks fine, and that is what it should be. So everything looks good on my end. So I'm going to close out my draft. And if that looks good, if I need to make corrections, I can go back at this point, go to that page, make the correction, come back to where we are. It'll kick out another PDF, another task for you to open and look at that PDF. And then you'll do the same thing and look at it, make sure it looks good. If it looks good, we're going to check here, check this box, and continue to certification. This is saying this function will send you directly to the certifications on your form 470. Wish to proceed? Yes, because it will take you to a different section, the certifications and signature page. Okay. You want to make sure you read through all of these certifications. And as you read through them, you will check them off. So right here, I am certifying that I'm eligible for E-rate. I'm eligible from a state library administrative agency. And I do not operate as a for-profit. Under other certifications, I am certifying that I've posted my 470 and RFP, that it will be available for at least 28 days before I make any decisions on any bids received, and that I will select that price will be the most primary factor in my evaluations, and I will select the most cost-effective solution. This one is that you're certifying that you will maintain all documentation for 10 years from the last day of service. The third one is that you have complied with the FCC, state, and local procurement and competitive bidding requirements. You are acknowledging that the FCC rules provide that persons who have been convicted of criminal violations are held civilly liable for certain acts arising from their participation in the school and library support mechanism are subject to suspension and debarment from the program. Of course, it's federal money. We're also certifying that the services that you're requesting discounts on are used primarily for educational purposes and will not be sold, resold, or transferred in consideration for money or any other thing of value. You're also certifying that the E-rate discounts are conditional, and that you are able to secure the resources outside of E-rate funding in order to utilize E-rate services, so that you have available to your patrons the software, the end user devices, the electrical capacity, all those things that are not E-rate eligible, in order to make effective use of the E-rate services you're requesting. And then this section you just need to read through. And once you have selected everything, understand everything, and it all makes sense, you will click the blue certify button on the bottom right. So we'll go ahead and do that. You're electronically signing, and you are, you have the authority to do that for the library. So you'll say yes. My draft task went away, as you can see. And in just a minute, refresh the taskbar. It will confirm that you have certified your Form 470 and you have a live 470. At least I think it does. Maybe that does not produce it. So if you don't get a tax, maybe you don't when it's certified. So you will go to news. And in your news feed, you should see the posting of that 470. So this top news feed right here is confirmation that you did certify the 470. It is live on the USAC webpage. Your allowable contract date, although different than what your RFP is going to say, that USAC will automatically give you the date that's 28 days out from today. That's the earliest you can evaluate bids and make decisions. Now, your RFP document is later than that. So you'll follow the RFP deadline, which I believe was October 31. And there are 2 links under this news feed, which will take you to your application. Okay, here's your Form 470 application, the posted one. That's what it looks like. So vendors can come in here, they can see that you posted it. They can click on the RFP documents and download that file and look at it. And then they will submit bids to you in email. So be looking for those emails from vendors. You may want to create a folder in your inbox for FY 2021 470. Just create a folder in there. And as you get those emails from vendors, whether they're asking questions or submitting proposals, drag and drop those into that folder, your inbox folder, so that you can keep up with all of them. It's very important that you keep up with everything. If someone asks a question and it goes unanswered, that could cause problems later on. So be very attentive to those emails. If someone submits a proposal and you forget to evaluate it, that's going to be problematic. You may even have to start the whole process over again. So just be really attentive to those emails and make sure that if you do get questions, you reach out to one of us to help you answer them. Mark it on your calendars the date that you have to upload the RFP addendum for questions and answers. And we can help you do that. But I'm going to show you right now how to do that. So if I'm in the application like I am right now, I'm going to go to related actions. And I'm going to add an RFP document. So in our in our service specs doc, we stated, somebody help me here. We stated that, suppose it was me. No, I didn't. There it is. Here's our timeline. This is very important. So if you did post today, if you do post or you did just post, this is your timeline. So vendors have until October 1st to ask questions. They're going to send their questions in email. If they happen to call you instead of email, you can tell them, I'm so glad you're interested. Per our RFP, we've requested that you email us your questions and we will get those answered. I would not give them answers over the phone. You redirect them to follow the instructions. Just like children, you just redirect them. You know, single file line, go that way. So that's how you'll handle that. You make sure that if you do have questions that you have answered, that you upload them as an RFP addendum by October 2nd. Okay, so I have an RFP addendum that I need to upload. I went to related actions. I went to add an RFP document. And this is the section that I do that in. I'm going to go pull that file. We can help you with this. There's my Q&A document that I want to add. So I've got the file there. I've dragged and dropped it. And then I want to select both line items, all line items here, and then submit. We'll say yes. Now I can go back to my 470. And now you can see two files as RFP documents. Okay. Once that Q&A document is uploaded on or before October 2nd, this needs to remain the way that it is until October 30th. You accept bids all the way up to October 30th. And at that point, you can pull all your proposals that you received in email, and we'll talk about the evaluation process. Actually, we're going to talk about that on Thursday. So hopefully all of you can attend our webinar scheduled for this Thursday, where we talk about competitive bidding, part 2, how to evaluate bids, make decisions, and memorialize those decisions. Okay. What questions do we have? If you followed along and were able to get it certified, congratulations. How many of you on the call were able to certify? Raise your hand. Marathon, woo! Awesome. Diana, perfect. That's wonderful. Anybody else able to actually certify? That is our goal on these calls, is to get this off your plate. We do understand things come up, issues come up, you know, that kind of thing. So when you're doing this on your own after this call, if you have any questions, pick up the phone and call us anytime, and we can help walk you through it and get this certified. The quicker you get this certified, the better off you'll be. As we stated in our last webinar, our goal is to get all 470s posted out the door, posted for vendors by Thanksgiving. So you have plenty of time to get that done, and we're so glad that all 9 of you joined us today. Does anybody have any further questions? I can unmute everybody. Oh, Diane, okay, Diane, not a problem. Just let us know. We did record today's session, and we will post that. We will send that out as soon as it's available. Let's see. If you have any questions, I am unmuting you.
Marisol and for all attendees, regarding the monthly webinar on Thursday, tomorrow morning I'll be sending out an email with the registration link for the monthly webinar that we'll be having on Thursday. So be sure to expect that incoming.
Thank you. Kyle's the glue that keeps us all together.
I try.
All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, Kyle, I'm sorry, this is Ashley. Did you already send out the LCT webinar for Thursday for people to register?
I'll be doing that tomorrow morning.
Okay.
And that way it acts as a reminder for Thursday as well. So expect that incoming, and we'll get that to you tomorrow morning.
All right. Thank you so much.
So if you have not gotten the invitation for Thursday's webinar, it will be sent out again tomorrow morning. We hope you can join us because it will help clarify the next step after you get this 470 certified. Okay. All right. Well, we really appreciate your time this morning. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope that this helped and you can get your 470 certified very soon. And we will put the recording of this out shortly. Thank you all again. Have a wonderful day.